users, I'm Yella Hella and welcome to my channel. I finally watched the Backrooms movie. Yes, I'm a little late to this, but hey, better late than ever. I'm so happy that there's a movie about the Backrooms because I felt like the concept of it would be great for a film. I can't believe the Backrooms started as something from 4chan to an entire film made by A24 and got released in theaters. I unfortunately haven't watched it in theaters, but I did want to make a video for it ever since the second trailer came out. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so please help me make that a reality. Also, quick spoiler warning, if you care about spoilers, then get out. Anyways, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get into the review. The movie follows Clark, a furniture store owner whose life is falling apart after his divorce, when he discovers a strange doorway beneath his store. He accidentally enters the Backrooms, a seemingly endless dimension filled with bizarre rooms and terrifying creatures. After Clark disappears, his therapist, Dr. Mary Klein, enters the Backrooms to find him. But as she explores the strange dimension, reality itself begins to distort, forcing her to confront both the Backrooms and the problems that brought Clark there in the first place. Honestly, I don't know how to structure this review. I guess it wouldn't hurt explaining the two main characters first. I'd say Clark is a pretty interesting character. Ever since his divorce and getting kicked out of the house, his life has basically fallen apart. He doesn't even have a proper home anymore. He's literally living inside his furniture store, and even the store itself seems to be doing terribly. There's graffiti outside calling it a ripoff. The place looks run down, and Clark doesn't exactly seem like he's doing well financially either. Basically, this guy's life sucks! And also, I think the movie does a really good job introducing Clark and showing us just how miserable his life has become without having to dump a ton of exposition on us. But there's a lot more I want to talk about when it comes to Clark. And to do that, we need to talk about his therapist, Dr. Mary Klein. In the beginning, Mary Klein mainly helps Clark to deal with his problems, especially his divorce. But we also learn that Mary has problems of her own. The movie doesn't give us a clear explanation of what happened to her, but we get these weird little flashbacks from her childhood, a handprint on concrete that keeps appearing, a crane, her house being destroyed, and what seems to be her mother in a wheelchair. And the movie never gives us the full picture, which honestly I'll get into later. But as a character, I think Mary is great, as she actually makes Clark more interesting because of how the two of them interact, especially during that kitchen scene. There's something really unsettling about watching these two just sitting there together in the Backrooms, having this surprisingly calm conversation despite everything that's happening around them. Mary tells Clark that he doesn't need to change, and for a moment it feels like Clark is finally getting the reassurance he's been looking for this entire time. And then, literally seconds later, he's killed. And I think that's what makes the scene so tragic. Clark finally gets someone to tell him that he's okay the way he is, only for the movie to immediately take him away. Makes his character ending hit a lot harder. Now let's talk about some scenes in the film. The part where Clark and Mary are actually walking around and exploring the Backrooms are easily some of my favorite parts of the film. One scene that really stood out to me was when Clark brings his two employees into the Backrooms. Bobby gets killed by one of the entities while Kat ends up going missing, and the whole sequence gets surprisingly intense. Another scene I really liked was Mary running away from Entity Clark. There's something about seeing her desperately trying to escape through these endless rooms that made the scene really tense. I thought 90% of the film would be some walking simulator, but I'm actually surprised by how often the movie finds ways to make exploring the Backrooms interesting. And obviously I have to talk about how the Backrooms itself looks. They absolutely nailed the liminal space feeling and atmosphere. The empty rooms, the weird lighting, the endless hallways, it all makes the place feel familiar, but also completely wrong. I also really liked some of the camera angles, even during scenes outside the Backrooms. There's something about the way Kane Parsons frames certain shots that makes them feel slightly unnatural, and I can't really explain exactly why, but it works. The movie just has a really good visual style, and honestly, I think that's one of its biggest strengths. Now, I did hear some criticism about the film, and I'll talk about my own thoughts on it at the end of the video. One of the biggest criticisms I've seen is that the movie feels more focused on the characters than the Backrooms itself. Some people went into this expecting a movie that's mainly about exploring the Backrooms and its lore, but instead the film spends a lot of time focusing on Clark, Mary, and their personal problems. Another common criticism is the ending. The movie doesn't really give us a clear conclusion. Instead of explaining exactly what happened to Mary, what the backrooms actually are, or giving us a clear answer to some of the mysteries that were introduced throughout the movie, it just ends. And I can definitely understand why some people found that unsatisfying, especially when the movie spent so much time showing us these strange things about Mary and the backrooms, only to leave a lot of those questions unanswered. But personally, I think there's a difference between an ending being unexplained and an ending being bad. And that's something I want to get into because I actually have some thoughts about why I think the movie chose to end this way, and whether or not I think it actually works. I personally like the fact that the movie doesn't give us a clear explanation for everything. One of my favorite things about the backrooms is how vague the concept is. It's a very simple idea, but because there is no definitive explanation of what it is, people can interpret it in different ways. And I think Kane Parsons' version does a great job keeping that mystery. If the film explained exactly what the backrooms are, why they exist, and what happened to everyone, I feel like it would take away some of what makes it special and interesting. Heck, I think Mary's memories that I talked about a few minutes ago fit what I said about the backrooms as well. We see these strange pieces of her past, but we're never given the full picture. I think that's what makes them so interesting. And I think this connects back to Clark too. His life already feels like a liminal space. His marriage is over, his business is falling, and he's basically stuck between the life he had and whatever comes next. So for me, the unexplained ending actually fits the whole point of the backrooms. We're left confused and uncertain. And honestly, I think that's exactly how it should be. And that's what I think about the backrooms. While I understand why some people don't like it, I personally disagree and have a different perspective on it. So with that, I rate this film a 9.5 out of 10. Why not a 10 out of 10? Well, I wish the movie was a little longer, but that's pretty much it. Overall, I love everything this film had to offer. Also, I think the creator made a YouTube series about the backrooms before he made the film. I haven't seen it personally, but if I found it interesting, or if this video does well, I hope, then I'll definitely make a video about that. But what do you guys think about the film? Let me know in the comments. I'm Yalla Hella, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!